Hello, everyone, and welcome to Farmer Joe Homesteading. We're going to be switching things up for a little while, and instead of doing our regular farm updates, we are going to be doing a winter care series. Today, we are going to start off with chickens. All right, so let's get right into it and talk about heat or no heat for your chicken coops. We choose not to heat our coops unless we don't have enough body heat. Now, we raise purebreds, so we have a lot of separate pens and a lot of different coops running during the year on our homestead. But in the wintertime, we put everyone down into one coop. And this helps with the body heat. Now, if you have more body heat in the coop, the birds are going to stay warmer when they're on the roosts. So we use body heat as our source of heat for our coops. We do have one coop in the winter that has a heat lamp plugged in, and that is for our extra roosters. As I'd mentioned, we do a lot of purebreds, and when we do purebred pens, we need a lot of spare roosters around. So because there's not as much body heat in that coop, they do get a heat lamp. If you are just starting out with chickens, make sure you know the appropriate size for your chickens and your chicken coop. Typically, you can fit quite a few chickens in a small space, but you want to make sure that they also have room to run around. If you have a coop without a run, you also want to keep this in consideration. Next up, we'll talk about bedding. Now, chicken coop floors can get dirty really quickly, so making sure that you keep their bedding fresh so that you don't have a lot of that ammonia smell will help as well in wintertime. Now, we do the deep litter method in our coops. This means that we do not clean any coops until spring and just add new layers of hay, straw, or shavings on the ground as needed. Now, when you are cleaning out your coops, make sure that you leave enough layer of bedding for insulation to help keep them warm. So make sure you have a good few inches of bedding, whether it be straw or shavings, to keep your chickens warm as well. Next up is water. So water for chickens can be quite difficult because it freezes so fast. Now, we do have a heated waterer, but it's not very large and we have a lot of birds. So we find that rubber tubs work the best because they can easily be tipped over, washed out, and you can get the ice out of them really, really easy. They're really durable, and then you can continue using them day after day, just refilling them with water. So we prefer to bucket water into the rubber tubs for wintertime rather than using the heated water for the whole flock. We do use the heated water in the rooster coop because there's so few of them and it seems to work really well that way. But for a large amount of birds, it's just not very effective. What you feed your birds in the winter can also play a huge role in how well they do throughout the winter. In the winter months, our birds get grower, they get their layer pellet in the feed tubs, they get oats and barley, they get corn, and they get black oil sunflower seeds. The grower, oats, barley, corn, and sunflower seeds all gets mixed together and fed to them every morning. In the evenings, when I know it's going to drop down and get really cold, I will come out and feed them a bucket of feed again before they hit the roost. Sending your birds to the roost with a full crop full of nutrient-dense foods will help keep their guts moving throughout the night, which burns and keeps them really, really warm. So a nice full crop before they go to roost is going to help increase their body temperature, which will help keep them really warm and insulated for nighttime. Your egg production in the winter months can go downhill fast. So make sure that you can give them all of the food that you can and lots of fresh water, but sometimes they just don't lay during the winter months. This is their body's natural rest cycle, as most of the time their eggs just freeze anyways. So we choose to let them have their natural cycle here on our homestead, and we don't push them to start laying until January. So they get November and December off before we start adding the artificial light again to try and get them into production for the breeding season. But other than that, we don't really push it. We just give them lots of good food and water. And because we have heritage breeds, we don't usually get lots of eggs. Last year, we had 6 weeks of no eggs. Every day, 0 eggs for 6 weeks solid. And that, to me, was really great because when they came into lay in January, when we started adding the heat, they were all really healthy and thriving, and we had a ton of eggs between January and June last year. The last thing with winter that I want to mention is the molt. It is really common for birds to molt in late fall, but sometimes it can trickle into the winter. So we feed our birds grower during this period to help them with the regrowth of their feathers and keep them healthy as they regrow and get ready for the next season. Your birds will also stop laying during their molt time. Make sure you come back next week to join us in our next winter series video on turkeys. All right, guys, that is all that I have for you. I hope you were able to learn something new today. If you have any questions, please leave them below in the comments. We are always happy to help. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.